Good evening, welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shobha. On the program tonight, there is utter confusion among Indian students looking to study abroad. Not only are there travel bans, there is also the very real fear that Covaxin, one of the major Indian vaccines, may not be acceptable to many major universities, certainly in the United States. Why? Because these universities, and we will show you case studies momentarily, screenshots of their admission requirements, believe that fully vaccinated students on campus require a World Health Organization cleared vaccine or one cleared by the American Food and Drug Administration. Now, this means that Indian students who have received Covaxin, or for that matter Sputnik, which has started rolling out, may be in trouble, and no one seems to know what to do. But let's give you an idea of what it is that I am talking about. Let's bring up a screenshot of one of the universities. This is Harvard University, and it clearly says over there, it spells out the immunization requirements, and it says quite clearly over there what exactly is required. And what they say is Harvard University requires all enrolled students to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 before arriving on campus for fall classes using approved drugs by the FDA or the World Health Organization. Covaxin is not one of them. Let's take a look at another one as well over here. This is Harvard. Now let's just, so this is Yale University over here. What does Yale say? Yale says, we will accept vaccines listed below with emergency use authorization by the FDA, that's the American administrator, or the World Health Organization. Let's take a look at another university over here. And this is the American University, and the American University says much the same. The American University says absolutely clearly that it's only FDA or World Health Organization cleared vaccines. And just specifically about this university, what they say is, in accordance with CDC guidelines for people immunized with vaccines not currently authorized for use in the US, American University, Washington will accept vaccines approved by the World Health Organization. So again, the World Health Organization so far does not accept Sputnik or Covaxin, and that is a huge, huge problem. What we can actually tell you is that Bharat Biotech today in a statement has said that as far as that World Health Organization approval process is concerned, it's actually going to take a little bit of time, and that might come between the month of June and September. So that really begs the question for those Indian students looking to go to the United States who need their vaccines, if they are unable to get Covishield or one of the other vaccines which is acceptable, and they get this vaccine, it may not work for them. And this is a huge problem for us in India as well. This is an Indian vaccine. It's seen to be safe and efficacious, and yet it's not accepted, and therefore the plans of students traveling abroad are affected as well. So that's one part of the program. What we are looking at later on the program, it does bring a great deal of hope. The pharma majors Roche and Cipla have announced the arrival of the first batch of the new antibody cocktail drug Casirivimab and Imdevimab in India. Will this be a game changer? That's what we'll be looking at today. Well, we've got a panel of students over here and counsellors. I'm joined by Aryan Jalota. He is a graduate of the Shriram School. He has certain concerns over here, as does Karan Patel, who's got a dose of Covaxin, scheduled to travel abroad. Isha Singh also has got Covaxin, a student of OP Jindal Global University. Aryan Mehra wants to study at McGill University, Canada, has got Covaxin as a first dose. Adarsh Khandelwal is the co-founder of Collegify, and Niharika Sondhi is the founder and head education counselor of EdNet Consultants. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. Karan, let me come to you first. What is your concern?
I have taken the Covaxin, and I am an international student, and I am enrolled in the College of Canada. After taking the first dose of Covaxin, I got to know that the Covaxin is not in the approved list of WHO and not in the approved list of Canada also. So after that, I was very worried about my future. Actually, I have invested so much money to study abroad. So I'm very worried about my future.
And Karan, At the moment, of course, flights into Canada, going as a student this year, international student, that's also a problem for you. That's also a worry, right?
Yes, yes, that's also a problem. And one more problem is there. That is, medical is also not opened here. It is actually closed, so we cannot go abroad without medical also.
All right. So that's several concerns. Isha, will you tell me what some of your worries are?
Yes, sir. There are a lot of things that I'd like to discuss with you because it's not like studying abroad, it's not just the one thing. There are many student exchange programs which my university provides us with. So, like, according to that, I'll have to have Covishield, I have to be vaccinated with Covishield to, travel abroad. And I'll be most probably be traveling in this year, August. So it's not just restricted to the third year students or the people who are applying for higher studies to, or for post graduation. There are many educational trips which the universities and the schools provide. There are many competitions which are held abroad, and all these things are, held down. These are all these things are put to cease just because we are vaccinated by a company or by a particular brand which is not yet approved by WHO. So this is a major concern for every student, especially a student just like me who's studying international affairs as a course which deals with foreign relations.
Yeah.
So this is something that I'd like to say.
Karan Patel, you've got Covaxin as well, right?
Yes.
Just tell us a little bit about what your concerns are. Were you able to, as you go abroad, speak to your university and ask?
Actually, I can ask my university, but actually I go through the list of the vaccines that are approved in the Canada, but there is no name of Covaxin. Actually, I also tweeted the WHO and the Bharat Biotech, that is the manufacturing company of the Covaxin, but I didn't get any answer from them.
And did you ask this university or the institution that you're going to what you should now do?
No, actually, I didn't concern with that. I didn't make a email to the college.
Yeah, of course, in Canada now, just getting in is also a big concern, but that's true of so many countries because India, flights out of this country are deeply problematic at this stage. Aryan Jalota, you have another concern. You've recovered from COVID now. Good to see you on this program, but that has delayed the process of you getting a vaccine, right? And you need to be fully vaccinated to go. Misery after misery. Have you asked your university about what you're going to do now? You're on mute, my friend. You're on mute. Unmute yourself.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
First of all, there's just so much uncertainty about the vaccine. On top of that, we are not having our board exams also. So universities need our board exams. We need to graduate to attend university, right? So both of these concerns really put us in this gray area. Like, we have no idea what to do. I just recovered from COVID right now. I can't take a vaccine for 3 months. So Indians are really in this situation, and the government is really not paying attention to these problems. Not even the universities. Like, I tried to contact my university as well, but there's like not a lot of detail. It's very scattered.
Yeah. Niharika, is that what you're also encountering? A lot of confusion among students? You're also on mute.
Okay, I was listening to all the students and I can understand their anxiety and their dilemma right now, but what you got to be is a little patient, Let's all remember and understand that we are in the midst of a pandemic, okay? Now, let's go back to Canada, for instance. Those students who have taken Covaxin, of course, in fact, I was having a discussion a little earlier and just spoke to a doctor before I moved into this session. I believe that we need to be patient. Bharat Biotech has submitted the papers to WHO, and I am very confident that it will soon be recognized by WHO. It's a matter of time. So those who are going to Canada is anyway having another dilemma, and the other dilemma is the visas. In fact, some of the universities whom I'm working with, in the other day I had a meeting with UBC, also said, be ready or be prepared to go online this semester. So if you have to go online this semester, I think that's the best way to go forward, is to go online and just be patient. And those who have taken Covaxin, I'm 100% sure that is going to be approved by WHO. It's just a matter of a month or 2 months. Yeah. When it comes to the United States of America, okay, this is my understanding, that you can go to the US and you can quarantine yourself before you leave for the US. You have to take your RT-PCR test. You go there, you have to be negative, of course. Quarantine yourself, 7 days self-quarantine. And after that, you can take your Pfizer and you can take your second shot of Pfizer 21 days later after your first shot. So what the whole situation is going to be, that yes, it's definitely more expensive because you have to leave earlier for the United States, stay in a hotel or take a Airbnb and stay there for a month or something, almost like a month. Take your booster shot and then enter the university.
So just one moment, Niharika, I take the point that you're mentioning, and we'll try and come back to you if we get more time. But I wanted to go across to Aryan Mehra. Aryan, tell us a little bit about what your problems specifically are.
So I received my first Covaxin shot on 2nd May, and my second shot is due in another 10 to 15 days. But the problem is that Covaxin isn't approved by Canada and WHO yet. So these are so Canada is the country where I'm planning to pursue my undergraduate studies in. So whenever I go there, I'll have to quarantine in a hotel for 14 days, which is obviously going to be very expensive for me, and this would not be ideal for me or for any other student. So I really hope that the situation gets better and this gets sorted out really soon. Although I did hear that I think Bharat Biotech is in talks with WHO and the government to get the vaccine verified and authorized for use as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So I hope that goes according to plan, and I really hope that we're able to go abroad without any problem.
Yeah. So let me read out an announcement by Bharat Biotech which came in just a few hours back. They say, and I quote, application for EUL, that's the emergency use licensure, has been submitted to the World Health Organization Geneva, and regulatory approvals are expected by July to September 2021. In the case of some students, it's August when you start your education. The others are in September when you travel abroad. So this doesn't help at all. Hopefully this will happen faster, but this by itself doesn't actually give that sort of assurance right now. Adarsh, I think one of the concerns is, and this needs to be made clear to our viewers, this doesn't mean you can't travel abroad with Covaxin. You certainly can travel abroad. You need an RT-PCR test. You go over there. You may or may not need to quarantine. But then in the case of university students, if the universities in America are saying you need one of their vaccines which are approved, it means a student has to go, get an RT-PCR, go over there, be in quarantine, get not only one dose but a second dose as well 21 days later. So what happens to the first 1 month of university?
Yeah. So that is a question which is being prompted every now and then right now, and I think we'll have to go by the norm, the new norm, right? How the university suggests. So follow the quarantine, get the first dose, or wait out the period, finish the quarantine, and then move forward with your second dose. But yeah, I mean that is how it is pretty much right now, how we see it. However, there are hopes that with this Bharat Biotech news, we may they may allow, because there is still a lot of time in hand. We have 2 months. And we are waiting for certain positivity and these anxiety and the entire stress to sort of end. So whether students travel or they are made to quarantine, universities, you should get in touch with your universities, because even if you are quarantining, they will give you proper support or they will give you a certain subsidy. I was speaking to this American institution and they said that we are also providing a certain financial support. So you should write to these institutions if you're facing any financial challenge. Ask for an advisory, and they will give you a certain reimbursement or a certain waive off in some format. Sure. But yes, I mean if they say that if it means that you need to take the vaccine, which is a US approved vaccine, then that is how it is.
All right, look, I'm out of time, and I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us. It's absolutely critical that there is more clarity, and perhaps all of the embassies, whether it's Australia, New Zealand, the United States or the United Kingdom or any of the other countries in the European Union where Indian students travel, if there is no clarity from their side, you will have lots of confused Indian students who travel abroad every single year and help so much in the countries by bringing in revenues and their intellect in the countries they go to. So let's hope there's clarity. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us. For months, we've been focusing on vaccines as the way forward in fighting COVID. And while that's certainly the case, a lot more perhaps needs to be discussed on antiviral medication, anti-COVID medication. And now there is renewed hope in that. The pharma majors Roche and Cipla have announced the arrival of the first batch of the new antibody cocktail drug. It's called Casirivimab and Imdevimab in India. In total, they can potentially benefit 2 lakh patients, as each of the 1 lakh packs that will be available in India offer treatment for 2 patients. And Cipla is going to be distributing the product by leveraging its strong distribution strengths across India. The drug will be available through leading hospitals and COVID treatment centers. Joining us now, Mr. V. Simpson Emmanuel, the Managing Director and CEO of Roche Pharma India. Thanks very much for being with us. Tell us a little bit about the technology here, because it's fascinating. These are monoclonal antibodies produced by recombinant DNA technology. How is that a big change from what we have in this country?
See, for one, this is one of the few very approved treatments for COVID right now that we have. There are quite a few repurposed drugs. There are a lot of things which are being used which seem to have a benefit, but we have a very robust clinical data behind the drug that we are talking about. We have more than 13,000 odd patients in which the drug has been tested, and we've got some very interesting results as well, and which is the reason why we have this emergency use authorization, not just in India, but also in the US as well as in the European Union.
No, but Mr. Emmanuel, tell us a little bit about the technology itself. How does it fight the COVID-19 virus?
See, these are a combination of 2 antibodies, the Casirivimab and Imdevimab, the cocktail as we call it, are very complex monoclonal antibodies which are made in the laboratory. What they do is they mimic the immune system's ability to fight off harmful pathogens such as viruses. So they are specifically directed against what is called as the spike protein of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And this is designed to block the virus attachment and entry into the human cells. So the cocktail actually remains very effective against the widest spread of variants and also reduces the risk of losing its neutralization potency against new emerging variants as well. So, right. Yeah, that's about it with regards to the technology.
And how much does each dose cost?
The cost for the patient per dose is around 59,750 rupees.
And how many doses would be required typically in the case of a patient?
Combined dose of 1200 milligram that has to be given, half 600 milligram of Casirivimab and 600 milligram of Imdevimab.
So just under 60,000 rupees a dose, and typically how many doses would one require?
Just 1 dose.
Just 1 dose. It's a 1-dose drug, right? And each dose, is it sort of injected all together, or is it spread out?
No, it's injected all together over you can use it either as a IV formulation where you can have the infusion over 20 to 25 minutes, not a very long period, or it can even be given subcutaneously with multiple jabs. We have to have 4 sites selected, and you can give it subcutaneously as well. It has the convenience of subcutaneous injection as well.
What is the efficacy of the drug?
See, in clinical trials, it has been shown to reduce the hospitalization and deaths by close to around 70-odd%. So, which I think is pretty significant given the context of where we are right now. And this is in a high-risk population.
Right. And who is it prescribed for? How sick would a person need to be?
See, this is primarily for the treatment of mild to moderate COVID in high-risk patients before their condition worsens. Ideally, you should use the cocktail 10 days before 10 days on the onset of symptoms, and that's when you would have the maximum benefit of the drug. It's currently not approved for severe cases or those requiring oxygen support. We have many other clinical trials which are ongoing, but as we speak, this is a place where you need to use the drug.
So, in other words, would that be would the drug typically be one which is prescribed to patients who haven't yet gone to hospital?
Yeah, who have a positive COVID report, who have been diagnosed as COVID. They might have gone to the hospital or they are at home. They now would they have an option of taking the drug so that they don't have to eventually go into a severe state and get hospitalized.
Right. And where all is the drug available? Is it pan-India?
It's pan-India. That's one of the reasons why we are using Cipla's wide distribution network. It will be available both in the public as well as in the private setting.
Yeah. I'm just fascinated by monoclonal antibodies, produced by recombinant DNA technology. It's relatively new technology, as I understand it. How widespread is the use of this technology in fighting COVID in other parts of the world?
See, as I mentioned that the technology itself is not new. I mean, everyone is aware of multiple other areas where human immunoglobulin has been used. So the antibody cocktail as such are biologic products. In this case, it's G1 IgG1 monoclonal antibodies, which is produced by the recombinant DNA technology in a lab. It is very complex to develop and manufacture. It's currently approved in the US and the European Union as we speak.
Just one final question, Mr. Emmanuel. This is medication which can save lives. There's no doubt about that. Is there any thinking about making this more accessible price-wise to more people in this country? Very few people would be able to afford 59,000 rupees a dose.
I hear you, Vishnu. The only thing that I can actually say right now is we have adopted a differential pricing approach as far as this product is concerned. So what you see as a price in India is like much more subsidized when compared to what price it's available either in the US or the European Union. But what we need to see is how do we look at the overall management of COVID for a high-risk patient? If you look at all of these benefits which comes around, I think it's a pretty cost-effective therapy because it reduces the risk of hospitalization, it shortens the duration of symptoms by 4 days, and it prevents a substantial number of people from going into a condition where it's into a severe state. So having said that, we are currently working with the government to see whether we can have any kind of relaxation in terms of the GST as well as the import duty, because all of this is adding up to the cost as well. As and when we have some relaxation on these taxations, we will pass it on to the patient as well.
Sure, and the reason I ask you this, and of course you are, the MD and CEO of Roche, but Cipla, who you've partnered with in this, they are renowned for having actually brought down costs for HIV medication, AIDS medication. It saved millions of lives. And therefore, the question in a situation like this is there any way, to bring down the costs?
So I already mentioned that there are a lot of channel margins and taxations which are as to how we can bring down the cost. That's number one. And as I already mentioned, the pricing that we have launched in India is a completely differential price specific to India. Which you wouldn't find this price if you go to the US or in the European Union at this point of time.
All right. So, well, it's certainly medication which brings hope to a lot of people. Hopefully, it would be more accessible in the future. But it's very interesting, and the fight against COVID, once it goes beyond just vaccines and social distancing to actual therapeutic to medicines, that takes the fight to an altogether different level. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thank you, Vishnu.